You're listening to Scheduling Sin with me, Snowmill.
Here's our 2 rules that never, ever, ever change. And that is, you move at the pace of the slowest person in the group. And then the other rule that we 100% never, ever stray from is a yes can become a no at any moment. At any moment from...
Well, hello, Mrs. Snow.
Well, hello, Mr. Snow.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited about today's show. We have some guests today.
Today's show is way overdue.
It's way overdue. That's true. But that, I think, really just speaks to the scheduling of sin, right?
Yeah.
Schedules are a bitch.
We have with us today 2 people that have been on the show a number of times so far.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we went to, well, of course, we did the famous Clone a Willy with them. So you heard all the laughing related to Clone a Willy. And a certain gentleman's very quiet description of what all was going on because he was too fascinated.
I think back on the Clone of Willy when Misty was sucking you, and then I took over and I was tasting her lip gloss.
I do remember that.
What flavor was it? I can't remember.
What'd you call it? Dickalicious, I think. Well, we've ruined the surprise. We have Mysti and Lee with us today.
Yay! So exciting.
So finally, we have you on for a legitimate interview just with you guys.
I'm not sure that I could handle the lack of chaos today.
Well, if you want, I can take my pants off and stick my dick in some plaster.
That definitely ramps up the chaos. I appreciate that. Your willingness is unmatched.
I know. He's really good for that.
So we wanted to have you guys on and actually have a conversation about you guys and share with us your story and how you got into lifestyle.
We're fascinating.
I'm excited about this. Like,
well,
I've been
okay, so let me give you some backstory.
meeting.
So you guys actually are the first couple that we met.
I think that's accurate. Yeah, I think when we were dabbling in this several years ago, before you really just kind of went whole hog, right? We met you guys at a bar.
Yeah.
At a local watering
hole. It was a local watering hole, and I'm pretty sure your hand never left her ass the entire time we were there.
I think you're right about that.
I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
And then they ghosted us after that, right?
Yes, and they totally ghosted us. And
I figured, that's fucking awkward.
Well, no, it was like 6 months, 9 months or something like that, right?
Okay, so I guess...
Wow. Okay.
See how the interview just flips?
This is their plan the entire time.
So technically, yes. I guess technically we did ghost you, but to be fair, we ghosted everybody.
Yes.
So right around that time, I was taking a new job, and it was just utter chaos around here.
Yeah,
and we had to just punt for a little while.
I think you guys were also still trying to find where you were at in this process.
We definitely didn't know what we wanted. I mean, and I think when you look back at where we were and what we wanted then and what we're doing now, it's night and day.
Yeah.
Well, I think like a lot of new people to the lifestyle, we had no idea what we wanted.
Oh, no. And no idea what we were getting ourselves into.
Right.
Yeah.
But you guys were very gracious and very nice, and it was great to meet you guys that night.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
I was really appreciative that you were willing to take us back.
Aww.
We were waiting with arms wide open.
Legs
wide open.
I personally think we are great for new couples, new singles in the lifestyle.
You just like to break them in?
Yeah. I mean, I actually had a rule not to hang out, play with new couples for years and years.
And why is that?
Because they're such a shit show usually.
They're a lot of work.
No, they just don't know what they're...
No.
They don't know what they're looking for.
And I mean that in the nicest way. I don't mean that they are shitty people. Just, like sometimes people don't know what they want.
Yeah.
And they can't tell you. It's like talking to a toddler that can't speak, right? So...
They also haven't established boundaries. They haven't explored their own feelings to know what they're okay with. It makes it a very tightrope walking situation.
Well, it's challenging to walk in as a couple trying to engage in a sexual way when it's so far from maybe where they are.
My personal belief is no drama. So because they don't have those established boundaries, sometimes that introduces drama.
Yeah.
And so that makes me run the other way.
So what made you change that stance? You say now that you guys are great for newbies, and I think you guys are great for newbies. What changed your mind?
I think because we both have unique perspectives on the lifestyle. Of course, I come from a long history in the lifestyle.
Background.
Yeah,
a long line of us used to fuck other people.
Yeah. I mean, I've been within the lifestyle since I was 17, and I didn't realize it was a lifestyle. I just knew that it was something that I liked, or this is who I was.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually very natural for me. And all of my relationships, the women have been bisexual. Now, today, that's not a big deal. But if you think back to the 90s, that was a big deal. And Mysti and I have talked about this, that if girls wanted to, or women, if they wanted to play with another woman, it was usually within the sphere of a threesome. Mm-hmm. So it was easier for the significant other to say, hey, I really like her. Let's include her or them, if it's a couple, into our bedroom. So nowadays, everybody's bi.
No, everybody's fucking everybody.
Yeah, everybody's bi.
Just fucking everybody around here.
So it's not as big. It's not as taboo.
Well, sexuality is much more open. Yeah,
Correct.
Sure.
And actually, I was listening to, I guess it was your last episode, about you guys talking about the bisexuality side of it, and I actually slightly disagree with you.
Okay.
On the fact that women, yes, used to be the focus. And you said something to the effect of people don't really care if the guy's bi or anything like that. But I don't agree with that from my perspective anymore.
I don't remember the exact quote you're getting at. So when you say you don't know if they care if the bi is guy, what do you mean? Or
so
guy is bi.
Yeah. So if women are bi, that's the draw, right?
Right.
It seems to be, but that's not actually the case. I don't agree with that anymore. I would have probably 20 years ago, but today, if you look at most profiles, we were looking at SLS and SDC and some of the other ones, 3Fun, whatever, you'll see more and more men that are saying they're either bi or bi-curious. And I think that's a bigger draw. Speaking as somebody that's straight, as a straight male, and it doesn't bother me, but it definitely
I think what you're trying to say is, like, in the past, a man posting on his profile that he was bi or bi-curious would have driven couples away.
That would shut down a lot of things.
Now
sure.
it's just accepted and just
everybody
has their own.
It's more common.
It's more common.
Yeah, it's much more. And you hear it on other podcasts. You see it on other venues and stuff like that. So don't feel bad about coming out and saying I'm bi, which is what the overriding theme that I had in the back of my mind as I was listening to this.
Yeah,
because I think you have drawn people in that have the same questions or stances and stuff like that.
We've gotten a number of messages from guys who have messaged us and said, it's so nice to hear somebody talking about it, because it isn't something you hear a whole lot about. And to your point, it is something that does tend to drive off couples sometimes. And it honestly, even now, to put that on a profile is kind of like, oh, well, we'll see what happens, because you just don't know how people are going to take it. But I don't understand why that is, because there are so many couples where the woman is bi or not, and that is not particularly a problem.
Correct.
For that couple getting together one way or the other.
I think there's still just a decent subsection of men that are homophobic,
right.
They're just afraid that if they're in a situation with a bisexual man, they're gonna, obviously that bisexual man's gonna suck their dick because it's there, which is so not the case. They're gonna make me gay. They're gonna make me gay. Right, exactly. Like, just because he's bisexual doesn't mean he sucks every dick that walks by. I like men, but I don't suck every dick that walks by. Well, and I just think that there's still that fear out there. Yeah. Straight men are so scared they're going to get turned.
There's definitely more of that. I think men, and we've had this conversation too. I think, and this is a very generalized statement, but I think women are much more open about their sexuality and exploring their sexuality, and maybe it's more socially acceptable that I make out with a woman or rub on a lady than men rubbing on each other.
I definitely think that's true right now.
Yeah,
but even within bisexual women. And I'm speaking from our experience. My wife is very picky with the women that she sleeps with, or will hook up with or play with. There's very strict guidelines. Actually, it's more
Do you
so
have
than men.
guidelines? Ooh, yeah, I want to know
Yeah,
your
yeah,
guidelines.
it's very very
It's a
strict.
manual. It's a PDF.
I mean, the
I'll send it
bit.
to you.
I'm actually probably more picky with women than I am with
Yeah,
men.
absolutely.
Somebody told me I should change my status to bisexual.
I think my problem with the whole thing is there seems to be this general perception that bisexual men can't be respectful of people's boundaries.
Yeah, what's that about?
I don't know. But clearly with bisexual women, whether they are playing by
Well, right,
or
and
not
I've played with a
another
bisexual
couple,
woman, and I am straight, but I've never ever had concerns about that.
no,
ever.
it was an issue because you both respected each other's
Yeah,
boundaries.
absolutely.
And we all had fun. It wasn't a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we think guys can do the same thing?
Well, single guys and guys in general have a bad rap, but again, I would counter that there's women in this lifestyle, specifically in the married sphere side of it, that they don't understand consent. They get away with more in clubs and stuff like that.
I think women do in general.
And
Yes, I agree with that.
unfortunately, they aren't viewed through the same lens as a single
Definitely
guy,
not.
which isn't fair at all, of course. But
Well,
I mean,
it's
so.
funny because I've had women grope me in a club. I've had women grab my stuff in a club, and they didn't ask, and I didn't invite it.
Correct.
Now, I think the big difference though is I liked it. You know what I mean? And I get it. Like I know.
So,
No,
There's
but that's just
there's certain consent
Yeah.
people out there that I can hear now going no. You know?
that's like
And
there's
I
a
get
fine
that.
line between a flirter and a stalker. Like, is he flirting with you? Is he stalking you? And sometimes it comes down to what you want.
well, consent in the club is very different, right?
It's very
I mean,
complicated.
it is very complicated because I think when everyone's sexually charged and you're on the dance floor and everyone's groping everybody. I mean, it's we're kind of all in the same boat. There's a difference between me groping somebody and you putting your hand down my pants, right? Like that. Those are two very different things.
Yeah, but I think what we're getting at here, and it is accurate, that we hold men to this standard that they need to practically get written permission
Mm-hmm.
to do anything.
In continuous written permission,
Right, but
because a no or a yes can turn into a no,
right, things can
and
consent
that's
expires,
fine. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But this idea that a woman can kind of slide up behind me and grab me by the balls, and we're all going to laugh about it, is a pretty major double standard.
And I will tell you, we had an event. We had a bar meet. Was it last year? We organized it. It was basically, hey, a bunch of lifestyle friends come hang out. This was not a lifestyle event, but it
Mhm.
was just primarily lifestyle friends. And then somebody accidentally put it on open Facebook, but we won't talk about that. But anyways, we had a bunch of people show up. I will tell you, most of that night, I was being groped by several women, and I didn't even know who they were.
And
No.
we were not in a lifestyle environment.
And we were not. We were in a non-lifestyle venue. And
Right.
I'm like, hello.
Yeah.
You want to know the funny thing about that night, though? There was a younger couple sitting in
Oh,
the area we wanted to kind of take over as our part, and they were very nice. But later in the night, as we had upwards of like 20 couples show up and hanging out, they were like, "Are you guys like a group or something?" I'm like, "Yeah, kind of." And they're like, "We figure either a church group or swingers." We're swingers.
you're correct on
Ruh-roh.
both accounts. It was a Christian.
She was like, "The way
Christian-
everybody like hugs each other when they show up, we figured you were either a church group or swingers."
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sit here and think about what traits we share.
The greetings, the
Well,
very
let's-
close greetings.
Well,
Yeah.
let's back up. I feel like we kind of jumped into a very heavy conversation. Yeah, so let's back up the train a little bit and talk a little bit about the two of you and how obviously Lee, you've been in the lifestyle for a little while, and that's something that you've incorporated in all your major relationships. So let's kind of turn over to the sexy Mysti over here
Oh,
and
thank you.
see, yeah, and
She
kind of
just-
get her.
She just wanted to focus on her.
I mean, I'm just saying, she's not. I mean, I wouldn't kick her out of bed. I haven't kicked her out of bed. So.
So I am bisexual and have known that for a very long time. So in past relationships, there was the threesome, that made it acceptable to be bisexual back in the day. Until I met Lee, I was not I would never have considered myself in the lifestyle, if you will. So when I met him, we were both in the lifestyle separately to some degree. And then
We actually took a step back.
we did. And so we played in that realm for a little while. And then when we decided that we were going to make a serious effort at a relationship together, we stepped back for about a year and a half and took a complete break from the lifestyle to figure out who we were as a couple and what we wanted from each other and what we wanted, if we even wanted the lifestyle to be a part of our lives anymore, because we were changing the dynamic. We needed to figure out who we were with and then add that dynamic back in.
And I think that's really important for couples. Like, I think to start in it is probably very challenging
It's
as
definitely
opposed to being
different.
an established couple starting. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So it was really, really important for us to take a step back and really figure out who we were as a couple. So we did that and then eventually started introducing it back in because, like I said, I had never been in the lifestyle as a couple before.
Mhm.
I had played with other couples or other females, etc.
You had group. You had an
Some
established
group
group.
kind of, yeah, we
stuff,
had kind of an established group with that we played amongst each other that I wouldn't have even considered them lifestyle because really it was just drunken shenanigans most of the time. There was none of this deep
Drunken
conversations,
shenanigans.
Well,
none of
and again,
the considerations that we put into being in the
Yeah.
lifestyle now.
it's evolved. Like I said, my beginnings of all this was not established. There was not a label per se of lifestyle. It was just who I was or what I liked.
Yep.
And of course, whichever female was in my life at that time was bisexual. So it was just that venue.
It's amazing how different it is, like as an individual, and how different it is as being part of a couple.
Correct.
And those dynamics. I mean, I think your own sexuality as an individual is one thing. Your sexuality and your sexual relationship is different. You know what I mean? Like all those
Yeah.
pieces kind of play into it when it comes to engaging in the lifestyle, I think.
I would say that because like I'm fully capable of dismissing that bisexuality when I'm in
Yeah.
a relationship. It's not something that's driving me.
Yeah.
It's not something I need. I personally need that heterosexual relationship. I need that man in my life for whatever reason, several
Yeah.
different reasons, but that's something that I need. The addition of a female partner in whatever way, as like a long-term partner or just a play partner is an enhancement, not necessarily a necessity in
Yeah.
my world.
Well, you turn it on and off too, as needed. You're also a switch in the bedroom. You're welcome.
Ooh.
So
But
that's
we-
another dynamic
Yeah,
as
we
well.
started slowly to introduce the lifestyle back in. We started the same room, full swap only.
Yeah, we had all the rules.
We had all the rules.
So
All
tell
the
me about
rules.
that. This is kind of where I'm curious. So did you meet in a lifestyle context?
No.
Okay. So you met in a vanilla context.
Yes.
How did you both discover that, hey, by the way, I'm into this? Oh, guess what? I am too. Like, how did you discover that?
There
So
they
we-
were playing Cards Against Humanity. Or never have I
Like,
ever.
how does this, how
It's
do
playing WoW.
two swingers reveal themselves to
so-
each other in the wild?
We've known each other for 18 years now.
19 years.
Yeah, 18 going on 19 years now.
Secret handshake.
And apparently back then we were both happily married to other people. And Lee and his spouse were in the lifestyle. I was not. But apparently she asked some questions to judge my
Probing
interest.
questions.
And I did not answer them properly, so they just let it go. So, because obviously I didn't get what she was asking. We weren't in the lifestyle, so
We were
just let it go.
throwing it
And
down on the ground, and she was not picking it up at all.
Now, did you know at the time?
That she was?
Yeah.
But I was what?
That you were open to the lifestyle, even if you didn't call it that way in an
At
organized way.
At that point in time, I don't think I was.
I called it. I knew she was. But I didn't pursue it because, again, we had established relationships and stuff
Sure.
like that. And
Like, she's freaky.
yeah.
She
Oh, I
likes
knew.
it.
I knew. I liked her from the beginning, but I knew. I was like, yeah, there's more there, but I'm not going to press it, you
Uh-huh.
know.
So we were just family friends for a long time.
Yeah, stayed in contact.
Stayed in contact. I called him when I needed computer help. Things
Did you,
like that.
Did you turn it on and off yet?
That was the only advice he gave me. Turn it
Yeah.
off and back on. See what happens. So we stayed in contact over the years. I lost my first husband. And that is probably within a year after that, I started really kind of dabbling in the lifestyle. I was dating another couple and kind of exploring the bisexual side a little bit more and more because I had that freedom to do so.
Yeah.
And that's when we reconnected.
so from my side, I was on a family vacation.
We're just gonna throw out all the dirty details.
Yeah, we are. And anyways,
Lee's good for that.
my wife at the time, she said, Misty is, or I asked her, I said, well, who are you talking to? And she said, oh, I'm talking to Misty. And I said, oh, how is she doing? I haven't talked to her in 6 months about her computer. So she said, oh, she's horny. And I said, oh, well, I jokingly said, well, did you throw my name in the hat for that? Because she knew I always liked her. And she goes, no. And I said, well, go ahead and throw my name out there for that. I can fulfill any services needed. And so it wasn't too long after that
You Facebook messaged me the next day.
okay. Well, I was just checking to make sure that computer was still
Well,
working
yeah,
fine.
I understand. We worry about
you wanna make
computers. I
sure.
get it. You're such a good guy.
Yeah, I sent her a message, and I don't think she believed the context of the message.
Absolutely not. I said, did your wife know you're messaging me?
I'm like,
Like
yeah.
straight up. I'm like, I'm not playing this game with
Yeah.
you.
So she verified everything was on the up and up.
Yeah.
So
In time, their marriage dissolved.
not because of you.
Not say that. It was me. I'm the homewrecker.
Yeah. It had
I'm
nothing.
a record too.
Yeah, it had
Mhm.
nothing to do with.
So
her.
their relationship dissolved, and Lee and I decided that we were gonna see where we stood, and that's when we took the step back and figured out if we were really gonna pursue it as an actual relationship, and then we phased our way back in. And like I said, in the beginning, we had all the rules. I had never been in the lifestyle with another person, so I had all the rules. And
Give us some examples of the rules.
same room,
No midgets.
No midgets.
same room.
Kissing.
Kissing's always, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of all the things, but
Condoms.
yeah, you know,
Pretty much, if you think of the most strict rules you could possibly think of in the lifestyle, I think we pretty much were there at the beginning.
yeah.
So it had to be in the same room.
We had all of our chat was, in a group
Had to be
setting.
Yeah.
had to be in the same group.
Mhm.
There was no one-on-one chat. There was no
No one-on-one meetings.
no one-on-one meetings. Had to be group. Yeah, I just like everything I can think of. But no kissing, was that
So-
really one?
No, we
So
didn't
how
have
did
a
that
kissing rule.
Go. So you guys decide, okay, we're gonna start giving this a shot. We have all the rules in place now.
Mhm.
How'd it go?
Rules fell away very quickly.
The rules started falling very quickly. Most
as well, the rules fall away as couples and individuals become more comfortable
Right.
within
Right.
the play and the lifestyle itself.
it's not within the lifestyle. It's when you become more comfortable with your partner in the
But
lifestyle.
yes,
When you
but what
Yeah.
I'm saying is
Yeah.
when you feel comfortable, they tend to fall away.
and so probably the first rule that fell away was the chatting, because
What a shit show it is to have a 4-way conversation.
four-way
Constantly.
conversations are hard, and then I don't have the time to chat as much as y'all.
Yeah,
So there was a lot of times where we're like, y'all need to shut up. Just take it somewhere else. I don't need to be a part of this
Turn this
anymore.
phone, blow it up.
Really,
Take
it
that
kind of
shit
got to
somewhere
that.
else.
That's
Yeah.
how Mrs.
And-
Snow is.
I am like that. I'm like, I never got time for that.
Yeah. So Lee has a decent amount more free time than I do. So he spends more time in the Discord than I do. Those of you that follow us there, and then also just chatting with other people. So that was one of the first ones. I'm like, we had and still have access to each other's phones. So if I was ever suspicious or concerned, I could always go back and check it. But hasn't happened in a while.
no,
When it comes to chatting, I sometimes feel pressure to chat because I feel like if I don't, I'll get like forgotten about, or I'll get kind of left behind.
Yep. Yep.
I feel a lot of the time with all the chatting that I may, because I go in spurts, right? So I have times when I'm working and I travel a lot where that gives me a lot of freedom to chat. But when I'm home, I'm busy, I got stuff going on, so I don't do it as much. But I kind of always have this sort of nagging feeling sometimes like I'm getting left behind.
I understand what you're saying, and unfortunately, I am that person that if we don't chat for a week or two, I've just forgotten.
she's very complicated. She doesn't want to be chatted with, but she wants to be chatted with all the time. That's what you just said.
I like other people to initiate. If you message me, I'm going to answer, but the chances of me initiating a conversation all the time are pretty slim.
So
and
I-
if I do,
so
And to be honest with you, I probably sit down and I shoot out the same message to like 5 different people at the same time.
Oh.
Like I have some time to talk. Let's just see who's available.
So I'm like you so this is my busy travel season now. So I'll go where I can't talk for weeks at a time or whatever. But then when I can talk, I have vast amounts of time where it's just I'm on all the social media and stuff like that. And so
Do you ever feel I get like this sometimes. We have our Discord. We have, there's a couple of Telegram groups I'm involved with.
Mhm.
There's 4 different websites that we're involved with. Do you ever kind of feel like, and all the different messaging apps, and there's WhatsApp and Telegram, and some people use Kik.
It's a
and
lot to keep up
There's all the
with.
websites and Discord and everything. Do you ever just kind of feel like you're going insane?
Oh,
Like you're just
absolutely.
constantly switching
Absolutely.
back and forth between this one and that one and this other one and the one over here and then this one and that. And sometimes I'm just like, I gotta stop.
So we actually put a pause on our SLS profile. I think Misty's still probably fairly active on her 3 Fun.
As
But
of
I've
48
actually-
hours ago, I was active.
I
Before that,
actually-
it had been months.
I actually backed out of all the socials. In fact, even Discord a little bit because I've ramped up into some of that travel status.
Yeah.
So, but yes, getting overwhelmed. Yeah, it kind of ebbs and flows. We'll back out of it, either one or the other, or both at the same time. I know.
Well, sometimes it feels like especially like I enjoy Discord
Mhm.
because the people that are in there I have relationships with,
Yes.
right? So the people that are in Discord are people that I talk to semi regularly and are people I know. And so you're continuing a conversation.
Correct.
The problem with particularly the websites that I have is I feel like every single day you're starting in the same place. Hey, what's up?
Yep.
You know,
Can I-
or
Discord is
you?
actually easier of all the platforms, of all the apps, because one, it's segmented out by the different servers. And unlike Telegram or any of the other ones, that's kind of a shit show. It's just like a stream.
Yeah.
A
Well, that's it.
continuous stream.
It's just a continuous stream. You can't follow
And
anything.
so it's
not
harder to
organized at
come
all.
back to where you were at. You know,
Right.
if you went to sleep for 8 hours and come back to it, and you're like, Jesus, there's
Well, with our
1,100 messages between the time I went to sleep
Yeah.
and the time I got
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So,
And so many of the Telegram chats just boil down to, hey, here's my boobies.
Right.
Yay, boobies. And then like it just moves on. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
It just I have a hard
Also,
time in some of those
the
finding
other
meaningful
reason you probably feel
conversations.
overwhelmed is people's attention span is like super short on all those platforms. So if you're not talking to them, and I always kind of nudge Misty when she's talking to people, I'm like, hey, you need to keep talking to this person if you're interested in that person. And then she'll pick back up sometimes or not. Just
So-
totally drops off.
In your journey, in your evolution, you know, obviously you started out with all the rules, right? And then as time goes on, you're more comfortable with yourself, you're more comfortable with your partner, you're more comfortable with the people you're playing with. Obviously, those are going to ebb and flow and change. What do you feel like has been like as you know, this is partially for people kind of starting out in the lifestyle and just kind of new. Like, what would you say to new couples? Like, you know, if you're the new couple.
So I use the term finding your tribe, right?
Yeah.
You find a group of people that you really get along with. It's okay to stop and enjoy that.
Mhm.
We talked about all the apps and all the other things. So that would be the biggest thing is stop, just, you know, take it in.
Mhm.
If you're new, if you find a couple or a group that you like, enjoy them for a little while. See if that's good for you. If not, keep moving.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's a good point because it is so easy to get so overwhelmed
Yeah.
in the lifestyle because one of the things we run into is that, and you guys are really busy, but like we talk to some people and every single weekend they're going off to the next thing.
correct.
You know, they've got this over here and then next weekend it's that over there. And then the weekend after that, it's that over there. We can't do that.
Yeah.
We can't keep up with that. And further, we kind of don't want to. Like we don't, I mean, we're definitely consider ourselves lifestylers, but we don't define ourselves as lifestylers.
Right.
I think that's going to ebb and flow in our life. Like right now, it's just too crazy with
Well,
kids
I
and
was
the
getting
parent-
ready to say we're a little bit different in
different stage of life.
stage-wise.
Yeah, sure.
So our kids are a little bit older, closer to leaving the nest within a few years.
You can leave
guys-
them for a night. Like we can't do that. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, we can throw them a pizza or something like that, and they'll be fine all weekend.
Oh, we can't.
You know, or
Put
whatever.
some water out. It's
yeah.
fine.
So, and for me personally, stepping in and out of the lifestyle over the years has been driven more by
Mhm.
life events.
Yeah.
How old the kids are, what's going on with their lives. And that's the other piece of advice I would tell people is don't be afraid to step back away from it.
Yeah.
And don't
Yeah.
feel bad. We talked to a couple at an event. It was earlier last year or middle of last year. Anyways, they stepped back away from the lifestyle. They had a tragic event in their life. Well, they stepped back and their complaint to us was all their friends had abandoned them in the lifestyle. And I said, well, first of all, they weren't friends to you.
Yeah.
If you come back to the lifestyle and they're not there, they were never really your friend. So moving on.
Well,
So-
and I think the friendships and the connections you make in the lifestyle are they're so much more sincere. And I mean, I guess in our experience, for the most part, I mean, it's been like, even if we were to step back from the lifestyle part of it,
correct.
I still feel like there are people that we would still like
Yeah. You want to hang out and
connect
stay
with
connected.
or like have a relationship
Yes.
with outside
Yes.
of that.
I
You know
feel
what?
like that's. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I feel like it's one extreme or the other.
Yeah.
We have those people in our lives in the lifestyle that I think we're going to be friends with long term, regardless of what we
Sure.
decide. And we have people in the lifestyle that as soon as if we were to say, "Hey, we're stepping back," they're going to be see you bye.
Yeah.
And I think they're on every end of it now.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's fine to have acquaintances.
Well, sure.
I don't need to be best friends with everybody.
Right.
So, but finding those people is important.
What I've found with lifestyle people is that for whatever reason, I have found it very easy to get close to people faster.
Well, we talk about everything.
Well, you talk, I mean, like, yeah,
I
the
was gonna
layer,
say,
like, yeah, it's
If I never made another vanilla friend in my life, I would be fine with that because the people in the lifestyle, the conversations are much deeper.
Right.
They're much more open.
you are automatically able to be more vulnerable.
Correct. And so, like,
Yes.
you guys recently went out to a nudist
Resort.
campground
Right.
Yep.
resort. When you're butt naked standing there in front of people, there's not much more you can hide from somebody.
Right.
So the
Right.
conversations tend to be
Real.
very real, very deep sometimes. Not to say that everybody you're going to meet in lifestyle, it's going to be lifelong friends, but definitely you run the chance of meeting somebody that you may decide
their
to go on
authentic
trips
self. You're going to know
with.
who that person
Yeah,
is.
you're going to be much more authentic and
Yeah.
vice versa.
There's no bullshit there.
There's also a lot of freedom to being able to be who you are.
Oh, yeah.
I am not outwardly bisexual. That's not the right way to
Yeah.
place it, but I'm like,
It's not out there.
not in the I'm in the closet still, I guess, when it comes to my vanilla life about that.
Okay.
Not many people in my real world know that. So it gives me a space to just really be who I am
Mm-hmm.
without having to censor
Mm-hmm.
who I am to suit the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, we wear those other hats, right? For work,
Yeah.
for kids, for church,
Family,
whatever
yeah.
it is, wherever element you're in. But when you're in a lifestyle event or a place where it's acceptable, I think all those hats fall away.
Well, and not only that, it goes, I think, sometimes a little further than that, too, in that you don't have to wear the hats, but you get to wear certain masks.
Oh yeah.
You know, you
And
get,
costumes.
you right. You kind of get to be sometimes a person that is, you know, if you consider vanilla life, you know, you're sort of hiding your true self, right? I think in lifestyle, you kind of have the opportunity to push past your true self.
Hmm.
And Mrs. Snow is kind of that way. Her lifestyle personality, I think, is a little beyond her normal self. Mrs. Well,
Now I'm curious.
well, Mrs. Snow is very much a vixen. Very much, very confident, very out there. She loves the attention and she has fun with it. But that in a way is a character.
Right. That's not who I. That's not
your,
who I
it's
am
not-
in my regular life.
it's
Yeah,
not-
yeah.
That's not your,
It's
I was
not
going to say
not
that's
who
your
you are.
9 to
That's-
5. That's not your 9 to 5.
that's definitely not my 9 to
That's
5.
kind of like it's kind of like your superhero cape.
But it's
Yeah.
yes, I agree with that. But there's also kind of like some like alter ego piece of it, right? I mean, it's,
Yeah, that's what I'm getting
it's
at.
the part that I enjoy being able to be that free.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you've gotten to the point now where you have all the rules. The rules are starting to fall away.
Mhm.
And where are we at in the story? So are we kind of in the middle-ish at this point? Where are we now?
We actually, go ahead.
So we met several couples, some of them that we played with here and there once or twice, some that have turned into people we're still friends with 6 years later, 5 years later, whatever it is. But yeah, things adapted and we kind of got into one little group and kind of hung with that group for a while and then expanded out, met different people. We decided, actually, this is a good story. We decided that we hadn't never been to an event, a party, a takeover, anything by ourselves. Everything we had ever done, we had met people there that we knew were going to be there. We went as a group in general, all of that. And so we decided that we needed to branch out. And I am the social butterfly. And so I don't have trouble making friends. So I figured we can do this. So we did. Beginning of last year, I guess. Or was it earlier this year? We decided we were going to start doing some things on our own. So we went to a club in the state over by ourselves and kind of experienced that. We went to a hotel takeover by ourselves. We went to the hotel takeover, which turned into meeting a whole new group of people that we have been hanging out with this summer.
That
I
it
don't know where I was going.
that have the new group, if you will, that from that hotel takeover has become a tribe, a very comfortable tribe, and it's expanded out. There's been additional people that we've met through them that still, we like to spend time with them, and even in non-lifestyle settings, like, hey, let's go.
What do you
just
look
hang out.
for? When you're meeting people and you're thinking about, adding to your group, or what kind of people are attractive to you in that way?
People that seem just authentic and who they really are. We don't do well with the fake. It's gonna come out. Just stop faking it.
Oh, sure.
So authentic people. Funny. I love funny people. Like, I just need to be around people that make me laugh, and so that's always a huge one for us. And then,
I think the clone of Willie got her for you, babe.
that's what it was.
We didn't stop laughing for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then, the chemistry is always something that comes secondary for me. What's the word? Sapiosexual. Something that I would use to describe me. Whereas that's your word. You taught me.
Oh.
Basically, it means you have to connect with a person first.
Right.
So I'm not a hookup kind of a person. I need to befriend you, and I'm not saying we have to dive deep and know each other's history, but I have to have that more of a connection than just a sexual connection there. So that kind of stuff is always important. And then, just have fun and be authentic and be open to trying new stuff because we're always doing something silly.
They have to be very intelligent. I can't carry
Oh.
a conversation with somebody, and they don't have to be a scientist, but they have to.
Well,
They
you
have
have to
to
be
have
able to
some
hold a
intelligence.
conversation.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So for me to maintain any type of interest, they have to have some intelligence about them. Of course, the drama. Everybody says they don't like drama. We will run the opposite direction.
Mm-mm. I sit on the edge with my binoculars.
Yeah, she likes to see the drama.
Your drama over there is fast,
but doesn't want to be a part of it.
So what are your drama red flags? So what are the things that you see as red flags from people that make your drama?
Communication.
Yeah.
The lack of communication, either within their relationship or with us.
Okay.
That is my first one.
Okay.
Because communication is a foundation for everything else.
Right.
Trust and honesty. So honesty would be the next one for me. If there was ever a situation, and we've had those situations where somebody wasn't very honest with us, that would be I'm out. I'm good. I'm going to stay away from that.
I think probably the biggest red flag for me when it comes to women that want to get to know Lee or hang out with him is the wording that they use. And I know that sounds weird, but I have a real issue when other women are like, "Oh, I loved our time together." I love the way you kissed me. That's not a word that I want being thrown at my husband from anybody but me.
Love. The word
Love.
love.
Like,
yeah.
I adored it. It was an excellent time. You were amazing. All that stuff is fine, but for some reason, and the one girl that was doing all that turned out to be
A shit show.
a red sheet, not just a red flag. So
She was a whole tent.
She's a whole tent. Wow. All right.
So there's little things like that
Yeah.
that you do. I had no idea that was a trigger for me until it happened, and I was like reading his text.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, look at what so and so said today," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't like
It
that."
is funny about that. You don't know what your what kind of gets you kind of upset or nervous
and
until
that
you
goes
see
both
it.
ways. You don't know
Yeah.
what you don't know as far as what you're gonna like. Like, step out there a little bit and try something new. You might like it,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
you also don't know what's gonna piss you off until it pisses you off.
So that's why we ask up front, what are boundaries, right? With new couples, established couples, because a lot of people don't know their boundaries.
So how do you respond to that? Like, because that's something I could see a lot of new couples saying, well, we won't really know, or we haven't really talked about it, or so do you kind of have some like,
we throw some things, examples.
You kind of
there.
throw some boundaries at them.
Yeah.
Like, hey, here's some basics. Like, why don't you follow this stuff?
Yeah.
Here's the template.
No, there is. There's some
swinger
things.
template.
The biggest thing is, like I said, communication.
Yeah.
Hopefully that is a boundary of theirs. It can be a full stop, or it can be a requirement.
Yeah.
We have some other, I mean, the no kissing is a full stop. If a couple is no kissing, we're not interested. I'm going to step over that line in the heat of the moment, and it's just not something.
We actually had a couple on one of the platforms that the conversation was great, and then all of a sudden it was, we don't kiss or something. There was no kissing. And up to this point, you could do everything else that you can think of sexually with them, but you couldn't kiss. And I'm like, hold up.
Right.
We can have anal. We can have all kinds of other sex, oral sex, everything. But your full stop is kissing.
But you know what it is? And we're a kissing couple, so obviously, as you know. But you know what it is and I learned this here recently, and we're gonna talk more about this later on with a different episode. But with the for whichever partner, or maybe both, the kissing crosses over into the emotional side.
Yep.
So
and I get that.
And I want to expand on this later on, but I drew a very bright line for myself between sex and emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Relationship was relationship and sex was sex. And in my mind, there was a very bright line between those two things. And I have learned recently that you can break that line a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that
you talk about things coming out of nowhere that you didn't know you had a problem with. I can completely relate to that now.
Yeah.
We had a little blow up in the beginning. And it was more of it was on me predominantly because I was infatuated with the attention I was getting.
Yeah.
And I was so
I totally get that.
infatuated with the attention I was getting that Lee was upset about some of the displays of affection and didn't know how to voice it. I didn't know how to explain what I was feeling. It ended up in an argument or whatever you want to call it. And that's one of those cases where you don't know what you don't know, where I'm like, I don't want anybody but you, but I want this guy to pay attention to me and dote on me and all these things.
Well, and in that instance, there was some dishonesty.
In the end, we did find out there was a lot.
There was
of
a
other
lot,
stuff
and I picked that up at the very beginning. I couldn't get Mysti to see that because she had those glasses on, and they're not the rose-colored glasses like I always talk about.
Well, they're the horny glasses, right?
Yeah,
but
it was
but
the infatuation
Like,
glasses.
it's
it was
the,
like, this guy is totally into me. He's treating me well, which I wasn't.
That's a fun feeling,
and I was not upset about that at all, because anybody that hangs out with her, male or female, I'm all about her pleasure.
Sure.
So if she's happy and she's healthy and safe, I'm good.
Right.
But when I detected that there was some dishonesty with his spouse, I'm like, nope. And there's the drama. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Because I'm not.
You don't want to get a part of that.
Yeah, I don't want an angry wife or girlfriend to kick in my front door.
But I get that.
So.
I think, and communication is so important. And I feel like I can't stress that enough. But even communication when you don't even know how you feel about it. Like that's a really weird thing to
Yeah.
say,
No,
but
it's
like,
no, it absolutely
but
makes
just
sense.
verbalizing, I'm feeling something. I don't exactly know what it is or where it's coming from, but there's something about this that I just don't feel right about, or
So
whatever it is.
I'm the emotional one in our group, and I'm the one with all the
Yep.
feelings and all the
Yep.
anxiety and all the stuff. So I have taken, and I have learned to do this because we used to argue on the way home from a party, 5 drinks in,
Yeah.
and neither one of us are making sense, and we're mad about things, and we're tired, and it got nowhere. It got absolutely
Right.
nowhere. So I have learned, and I've been much, much better about this, to say, hey, something,
Is
this bothered me tonight.
Right.
Or something's
don't-
off.
I don't know what it is. Let's talk tomorrow.
Right.
But if I don't say it to him in that moment,
Right.
tomorrow I'm just going to blow it off.
Right.
It's not that big a deal. So I made a very conscious effort to say, this is bothering me.
Yep.
Let's discuss it when I'm less emotional, when I'm not drinking.
Or you give us some time to think about it.
or
Actually,
I have
really,
time
yeah.
to think about
Sure.
why it's bothering me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think that's been a huge breakthrough.
I
in our
think you've come
communication.
back many times and said, you know what, I had a problem with this last night, but I don't have a problem with it today because I've sat down and thought about it, or I've thought it through.
But even talking through that,
Oh yeah,
I think
we
is
do a lot
important.
of talking, so I guess that's the other key. Our female friend, our unicorn, she's kind of amazed by some of that discussion that she's
Mhm.
witnessed.
She did say that on the way home. We were on the way home from a trip last weekend at 5 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
We got in the car at 5 a.m. to start the drive home. And he and I are deep in conversation, some lifestyle related, some not so much lifestyle
But-
related. She's sitting in the back seat and she goes, this is too deep for 6 a.m. you guys. Like she was just, I'm like, this is normal car talk
Yep,
for us
yep.
because with kids in the house, you can't talk about everything in the house.
Right.
So
Specifically if it's lifestyle related or,
Yeah.
or anything like that, we have to, you have to segment your time when you can talk about those things. If you
Well,
have kids,
and I think
so.
it's amazing how, we kind of had a situation that it was lifestyle related, but as we really kind of dissected it and picked it apart, there were other pieces in it that had nothing to do with the lifestyle
Right.
that were impacting it and impacting just how we felt about things. And so it's just funny how, communication, like, communicate, right? But like, that is like, I don't even know how to express it even more, but even communicating when you don't know what to communicate.
Yeah.
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's a hard lesson to learn because
It is.
for me, coming into the lifestyle with somebody that had been in it for so long,
Oh, sure.
I don't know the rules. I don't know the boundaries. We were still kind of learning who we were as a couple still. So that was hard for me, and I suppressed a lot of feelings, and that would eventually bubble up because
Well, sure.
I'm just that person. So we just keep evolving how we communicate, and
I told her at the beginning, I said, when she mentioned rules, I said, there is no rules to this. It's our rules. We get to establish
Sure.
them.
Right.
That's the best part of
Right.
it. Your previous podcast as well, you talked about the emotional side or the concern about falling in that trap.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, unless it's just straight up sport fucking, right?
Right.
You're going to have emotions.
Right.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, the sex is actually better when you
When you do.
do have emotions.
Well,
So,
I know, and
so
and
you
for
do
me,
wanna-
what
you
we've
wanna
kind of learned
tread
for
that a
me,
little
that's
bit.
the slippery slope.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That for me is a slippery slope because where, and like I said, we're going to get into this deeper in another episode soon, but for me, that bright line was really predicated on just, like you say, sport fucking,
Yeah.
right? I mean, just fun, having fun, whatever. That's kind of the end of it. Once there was starting to be some, I'm going to call it stickiness,
Mhm.
right? So like there's a little bit of more of a relationship there. And I agree with you. The sex is going to be better with that build up, with that interaction, with all of that. But how much of that am I willing to share as a partner, right? I'm willing to share the sexual acts. Am I willing to share that spark? I don't know.
Well,
if
that's
I am.
also coupled by but then there's always that thinking about that in relation to your partner, but also looking at what you've done.
right.
You know what I mean? And it's there's that double standard that kind of comes up.
sure. I have a guideline for you on that, if you will.
Okay.
So let's say that you're having this emotional-ish relationship via text with somebody else,
Yeah.
right? Did you say anything in that text message that you don't want Kat to see? Sorry, that you don't, Did you say anything in that text message you don't want Mrs. Snow to see? Is there anything in there that you're ashamed to show your partner?
Right.
If so, you have crossed a line and you need to reevaluate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If
I agree with that.
everything in there you're open and willing to
Mhm.
share with your partner, you're probably still okay on that line.
Except if your partner, and I'm talking about an example, before Misty understood some aspects of herself within the lifestyle. So everything I would always put in text or messages that she could see, I was okay with. She would see some things and go, I'm not okay with that.
Right.
Such
Right,
as
that's the other side.
such
It's the other
as-
side
Right,
of the coin.
that's where
such
I'm
as
going
the,
with
It's
this.
the
I
love
would show him all the
comment.
things, right? And I was fine with it, and I didn't have a problem with him
Yeah.
reading it.
But
But he's
then
reading
he-
it, and he's like, "Wait a minute here,
Like,
right?
hold
And
up, what's going on
yeah,
here?
Yeah, yeah.
And I
So-
think that's important that you give that feedback back to the other person. Like, okay,
Sure.
maybe you're okay with this, but this is pushing my
Correct.
boundaries.
Sure.
Right.
And in the end, your boundary line has to be the same.
Correct.
So-
You both have to be on the same line.
We've talked about, and we need to do this. It's actually we're in a really good place for it. We've talked about having a conversation about jealousy and lifestyle, and
I was gonna do a blog on that, but I thought, you know what? A blog isn't big enough.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And so
no,
we
I
do
get
need
it.
to do a podcast just on that because I can.
Well,
I can-
and I'm anxious. We've talked about doing that particular episode for a long time. I am based on kind of the wobble that I had in the last couple of weeks. I'm more excited to have that conversation now
Mhm.
because I can tell you, for me, for the first time, I finally really experienced it.
I think if you want to get honest feedback and honest advice on it, you have to talk to somebody that's been through it, not somebody that's like, we're not jealous. Bullshit.
Yeah,
You are.
They're
just wait till
humans.
you are.
You're
You're
just not
humans.
admitting it. You're a human being. So I think
Right.
finding somebody that can admit it, and I fully admit where my jealousies are. And luckily, in our relationship, we have found most of those landmines, so we
Yeah.
can avoid
Yeah.
them. The word
I've-
love. Let's
I've-
just not use that word. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right, right.
Right.
I've found every single one of them. I think.
You know where part of the, and again, I don't want to bleed over into this other episode, but one of the things about jealousy that's complicated in the lifestyle is this balance of fairness.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
I
because
hate that.
because partner A got to do something, partner B should be allowed to do it also.
Mhm.
And in a purist sense, I get it, the idea of fairness. Well, you were able to do it. Why can't I do it? But it is also completely unrealistic to expect that everything that partner A is okay with partner B doing is not going to be okay the other way.
and I can absolutely talk hours on just that.
Well,
alone.
and I think it's hard being both partners in that situation,
Right.
right? I mean, it's
Yep.
it's because you feel you obviously again you go at the pace of your partner, right? And there's definitely that I never want to do anything that's going to make you upset, but it's hard for me not to have that. Well, you got to do it, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and so it's a hard balance because logically I completely understand that, right? But in an emotional, horny way, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I want to do that too.
I think not only what you're talking about, how maybe a situation that you got to do, so I should get to do it.
Yeah.
Also, like, just because we do play separately because of our schedule.
Yeah.
And that's been going on for a couple of years now, but we have both gone through ups and downs where he has got a girl calling him every weekend
Right.
and I haven't talked to anybody in 6 months.
Right.
And then it'll swap. And so that tit for tat becomes a real negative when
Yeah.
you're trying to
Yeah.
live in the lifestyle in this space where we play separately.
And you have to recognize that too, that a lot of these things ebb and flow.
Sure.
And they're seasonal too, believe it or not.
Very
So
seasonal. We
so
learned.
so things come and go. You just can't get wrapped around the axle too much about those issues.
Well, and the other thing too is when especially with solo play, both partners are having an experience of some kind.
Mhm.
Mhm.
The player, if you want to call it that, is out there having a very active sexual experience, and that's one experience all by itself.
Mhm.
The non-person who's playing is having an experience also,
And if
which
you're a
is
high
totally
anxiety
different.
person,
which is a
Yeah.
totally different experience.
it's a whole exhausting experience.
And I think I think I was guilty of this, looking at solo play purely as a thing that the partner who is playing is doing, not realizing that there's also a thing that the non-playing partner is doing. And this kind of goes back to the whole fairness thing is you might learn, ask me how I know, you might discover that you're perfectly fine with being the playing partner, but being the non-playing partner is kind of like, hey, now wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know?
Which, as the non-playing partner, you're like, what the fuck?
So,
Right.
so I will tell you the thing that we have found, probably the nugget of all this, is that you have to figure out within your own relationship and yourself, what is it that you need from your partner while they're away.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
give you an
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
example. I had a play date Friday with a single lady. In the past, that typically may have turned into a fight for us, or a high anxiety driven fight.
Because part of that is because he had this date on Friday and we weren't going to see each other till Sunday.
Yeah.
Right.
So
there's
the
a
reconnection.
long time.
Well,
so there's
timing is always a huge
long
piece of all
reconnection
this.
time, right? And there's nothing to do with that because schedule wise,
Well, yeah.
it was either
Just
from,
yeah.
either it's going to
Yep.
happen Friday for me or it's not going to happen at all.
Sure.
But the way we addressed the anxiety side and some of the stressors for her was communication. It goes back to communication.
Yeah.
She wanted constant communication.
Okay, you said constant. Like I didn't
Well-
want to play by play.
No.
But
I know that.
I
But I'm
just
saying,
licked her pussy text.
It
She's
was
going down
delicious.
on me
Ooh, I
now.
licked
Yes.
it again.
but what she wanted,
It took 14 licks.
How many licks does it take?
But no, like he texts me, "Hey, she's here. We're headed to dinner.
and I'm
Hey, we're headed back to the hotel." And he even texted me, which this one was unexpected, but eased my mind so much because for lots of reasons. But he's like, "Hey, we're taking a break, just cooling off. It's been awesome." You know, like
hydrating.
Yeah.
he said hydrating because he's a chatter. He wants to play and then pillow talk for 4 hours. And I'm sitting at home going, "Are they still fucking 4 hours later?"
Yeah.
You know, and so it's nice. It was nice of him to, and then he said, "Okay, I'm walking her out. I'll call you when I come back." So I guess throughout the night I got maybe 5 text messages from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she knew, and I've talked to her. I haven't met her in person, but she knows where my anxiety level is. And quite
Mhm.
honestly, if she wasn't willing to let him text me,
Right. Right.
she's not the right fit for our relationship.
A red
And we've
flag.
had
There's your
that.
red flag right
Yeah.
We
there.
had a woman
Yeah.
go completely berserk because I called him about a child situation while they were together. Like, I would not call him when he's out on a date if it was
Right.
not important. But
Sure,
there was a child
absolutely.
thing going on. And she's like, "I really can't believe how much you contacted him while we were together." I'm like, "Bitch, he's my husband. You're
Yeah,
welcome."
So
But no, I get that. That
But
makes yeah.
so
the communication, and that was one of the things that we learned is what she needed. And I'll flip it the other way. I also need to know that because for me, I want to know she's safe
Yeah.
and she's happy,
Absolutely.
Right.
right? I'm half the time I'm over 5 hours away.
Right.
I can't respond if something happens. So
Yeah.
to know that she's okay and safe is huge.
Absolutely.
Right.
And vice versa.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
don't think she's afraid that this single lady is going to,
No, some single ladies
Put
are
me in-
crazy.
absolutely
put me
crosses
in a-
my mind.
put me in a suitcase,
You
and
thi-
whatever.
You
but
really
it
don't
is-
think that crosses our mind?
No, because
Oh, it absolutely does.
I know kung fu.
Kung fu.
No, that.
But I
not,
get it, like,
not
But I
with
get
who
it.
you
It's-
were with
yeah.
this Friday
But
because we
it's-
know
it
her.
is.
But
It
the
comes-
first time he's meeting someone,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
she gonna tie him up in his base?
Is
In
she
her
crazy?
basement? And is like,
Yeah.
is she? Yeah, no, that all goes through
Yeah.
our heads too.
So it comes back to,
And I'm 5 hours away, and I can't come kick her ass.
yeah. So it comes back to making sure you're taking care of your partner and the person that you're in the bedroom with, whoever that is, male,
Right.
female, and they're so it's
There's a lot of people to balance.
a lot of moving parts.
There's a lot of people to balance.
So
and I think when we finally do this episode, it's going to be a good one.
I wanted to jump back to something we started talking about, and then we tangent because apparently that's how we do podcasts with you.
Sorry.
We were talking about rules
Oh.
a long time ago. And here's our 2 rules that never, ever, ever change. And that is you move at the pace of the slowest person in the group.
Yep.
That's it. End of
Slowest
discussion.
person. And that could be
And-
the other couple, could be us, and it shifts. We used to say the women, we go at this pace of the women, but hello,
Right.
some of the women are sprinting, and some of the guys are like do 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 do. So it's really the least comfortable person.
Right.
We go at their speed,
Right.
their speed as a foursome or group.
And then the other rule that we 100% never, ever stray from is a yes can become a no at any moment. At
Yeah.
any moment, from drinks before dinner to during penetration, a yes can become a no.
Right.
And if I say no, it is over. If you say no, it is over. And that, I think, is a level of respect
Yeah.
Yeah,
that-
absolutely.
that you're like, you told me I could, bang, bang. No.
Yeah,
You told me I could.
And the
So,
and the reason for that is actually my reason is because I don't like playing with people that are totally shit faced or
Oh,
high or anything like
absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
So
That's like a recipe for disaster.
I need to know all the okays up front.
Yeah.
I need to know the established rules of engagement before we
Yeah.
engage. So
but those would be our two hard and fast. That should be everybody's rules. Those
Yeah.
should just be everybody's rules.
and actually those become red flags. If we're asking the 20 questions either through
It's
text,
not 20, I promise.
it's not. But I always say 20 to 30 questions.
Everybody's afraid to contact us now. We're never going to have another date.
Well,
You send me a PDF.
that
version.
also
Assignable
a-
PDF form.
is a way to weed out some people. If I say I have 20 questions, but if they don't have those same or similar
values.
or boundaries,
Yeah.
that becomes a red flag
agree.
because
Sure.
that easily can slip into that drama
Yeah.
fold.
Well,
So,
guys, thank you for coming on.
Do you know us any better now than you did an hour ago?
I think our listeners do.
Do you think?
that's scary.
I think our Discord does.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing
I was like, you're gonna get to
those
meet
people
Yes.
that have been smart about getting on the snowball,
That's right. So if you
literally
want to
getting
meet
on the ball.
Misty and Lee, as
We
well
will.
as Mr. Snow and I, you should come to Snowball and learn more about that.
October 5th.
October
Tickets are
5th.
still available.
Oh my gosh, it's coming up so quick.
If you're interested, email us at snowmilf, SNOMILF, @yahoo.com.
Yep. So we're excited. Thank you guys.
Thanks for
Thank
having
you.
us.
We want to hear from you. Email us at snowmilf@yahoo.com. That's SNOMILF@yahoo.com. You can also join us on our Discord and have some fun interactive conversations with us. The link is in the show notes. Talk to you soon.
All right.
Oh,
Oh, your
Oh.
sack is too heavy.
your sack is just drooping. Droopy sack.
I think your
Oh,
Mike
Mr.
needs some
Snow has a droopy
Viagra.
stack.
First of all. Fuck you all. Pooh Bear's sack is amazing.
Again?
Waka waka waka.
All right.
What does Pooh Bear have to do with pack?